Wisdom 5. Learn as you live. Spiritual growth requires the development of inner knowing and inner authority. It requires the heart, not the intellect. Gary Zukav, spiritual teacher, author of Seat of the Soul.
Once you have the heart and the strength to overcome your fears and take more risks, you will find learning on the other side of your actions. As we learn life lessons, we evolve. Wisdom 5, learn as you live, follows action in a natural progression. As you express more fully in the world, you move forward, and you recognize the growth involved in living a soul-inspired life. Whether you make mistakes or celebrate success, you learn. And as you learn, you align your personality more fully with your soul, and you evolve. Learning life lessons allows for your soul's evolution. It is the nature of your soul to expand in consciousness. Jiddu Krishnamurti, East Indian philosopher, speaker, and writer, stated, "The whole of life, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, is a process of learning." As you recall, Wisdom 1 counsels life is for you, and Wisdom 5 reminds you that one of life's greatest blessings is the fact that you are learning. You learn for the sake of evolving. Often the silver lining of a difficult circumstance is the gift of growth. Your opportunity is to welcome your unique lessons and let them propel you to refine your character, expand your consciousness, and continually reach new heights of awareness. In Wisdom 2, you were introduced to ways of releasing and letting go of old programming. As you unlearn habits and beliefs that limit you, you learn what liberates you. For example, you may have unlearned the erroneous belief, "I'm unlovable," and you learned and thus embodied the belief, "I am lovable." Yes, evolving is the process of unlearning too. To embody your new learning is the key. As you integrate what you learn emotionally, physically, and spiritually, you become an expression of that new teaching. You show up in life and give tangible form to what you've learned. This is what makes you so inspiring to others. There are no guarantees that your work, your relationships, or your creative pursuits will work out as you would want them to. Sometimes we don't get what we expected or hoped for. We might be more successful than we imagined, or we might scrape our knees and feel like we failed. Welcome to life, a journey of learning. When you see life as an education and not a test, you can open and relax into a more expansive perspective. You don't always get what you think you want, but you do get what your soul requires to grow. Life is not a test. It is a learning environment. With the affirmation, "I am a student of life," remind yourself that you are not meant to be a master, but forever mastering. This means you don't have to be flawless. You don't have to be right. Whether things go as you hoped or not, you are learning and growing. Your evolution is the reward. Like a child curious about life, you explore your world with wonder and with less judgment or pretense. Fun expands when you adopt a learner mindset. With an open to grow mindset, learning becomes more effective too. You are humble and open to learning from all the experiences that come your way. The need to know it all mentality loses validity. Instead, you think, "I don't care if I'm right or wrong, a winner or a loser. I'm learning, and that is why I'm here." Attributes of Wisdom 5, learn as you live. Learning, evolving, attentive, curious, open-minded, innovative. Approaching life with curiosity. As the namesake of the movie, Forrest Gump, famously said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." Yes, you might get some sweet times or bitter lemons. You might face inconvenient hard knocks. We all fall from cloud nine from time to time. We face conflict, scorn, disappointment, and loss. Although you may not have immediate control over the circumstances coming your way, you do have dominion over your response. And when your response is, "What can I learn from this?" you've taken the most important step to growth and spiritual unfoldment. What can I learn from this? When you embrace the idea that you live in a benevolent universe, you trust that life is unfolding in the best way possible for you and others. You welcome the discovery, the curiosity. This allows you to be inquisitive and experimental in your approach to life situations, and you can be playful and amused along the way too. Being lighthearted is a side benefit of an inquisitive nature. When you really embody this wisdom and understand that you are meant to develop a passion for learning, you constantly gain new understanding and your life feels spirited. You will welcome new experiences. You will appreciate challenges and understand that feedback is constructive and in your best interest. Setbacks are opportunities, not detours. Stumbling blocks are stepping stones. This bouncing back from difficult life experiences is often referred to as resilience, and it is essential for growth. Michelle Kwan, a retired American figure skater, 2-time Olympic medalist, and 5-time world champion, shared, "The first thing my coach taught me was how to fall. I remember gazing up at her with a puzzled expression, thinking, shouldn't I be learning how to skate? Looking back, I realized that my coach was very smart. She knew I was bound to fall many times throughout my career and that I needed to learn how to handle it." A good example of a person with a resilient brain and a learner's mindset is Thomas Edison. It took him thousands of tries to invent the light bulb, but he eventually succeeded because he believed it was possible. Perhaps he knew that the universe was on his side. Edison considered all of his numerous unsuccessful attempts to be learning steps to reaching his goal. There are other famous examples of entrepreneurial persistence in the face of disappointment. Nick Woodman, the founder and CEO of GoPro Incorporated, attempted and failed at 2 other internet companies before launching his passion project with the Hero camera. He states, "As soon as I stopped trying to think about a business idea and started focusing on what I'm passionate about, that's when it came to me." This was his lesson. And in sharing it, he is inspiring many would-be entrepreneurs to go for their passions. The admired Walt Disney said, "Everyone falls down. Getting up is how you learn to walk." He faced a lot of criticism and failure in his first 2 business attempts. Later, he went on to create Disney Brothers Studio. Today, the Walt Disney Company thrives as the world's largest independent media conglomerate in terms of revenue. And, quite importantly, the company expresses a spirit of imagination through theme parks, its signature character Mickey Mouse, and family classic movies. What do these innovators have in common? They did not let failure define them. They let it refine them and their ideas. Many entrepreneurs throw in the towel too soon, right before they reach a breakthrough moment, right before consumer popularity or an investor could lead them to success. Bouncing back from the brink of failure is a familiar narrative in business and commonplace for serial entrepreneurs. This kind of resilience is important for all of us. People with resilient brains understand and embrace pain and failure and have the ability to get up, come back, and try again. They reframe disappointments into advantages, knowing any upset or letdown may be a new opportunity in disguise. So the next time you look at a problem, big or small, and catch yourself thinking, I give up, consider that you are learning with each mistake. It's not about reaching some kind of endpoint, but learning a lesson along the way. If you think there's got to be a better way, ask, what is the better way? And then proceed to find out how you might find that better way. Learning your way to a breakthrough. As soon as you learn a life lesson, the universe will serve up a new situation that reflects the positive change inside of you. When you grow and change, life changes with you. The universe always mirrors your internal landscape and serves up new situations when you're ready to experience them. The result can be a nice upgrade in life circumstances. Doug, a client, had a job where his supervisor constantly criticized him. For a while, Doug felt trapped, upset, and anxious. But then he wondered, what is the lesson here? He owned it. As a student of life, he reflected on what his boss might be mirroring for him. Doug realized he had internalized a program of low self-worth from his super critical and controlling mom. He decided to work on wisdom too. You deserve love. He focused on transforming from the inside out through emotional awareness and self-nurturing practices. Soon, he felt gratitude for the critical boss as the catalyst to become a more conscious and integrous person. In time, he applied for a better job with a social enterprise, and he got it. With a new sense of confidence, he worked with a dream team that valued him. Doug's new outer circumstances were a reflection of who he became and what he learned through his own transformational healing. Lessons show up in all areas of our life. We draw people and events to us to learn what our soul yearns to learn. When it comes to finding and keeping love, lessons abound. For example, through dating, you get a better idea of what you want and what you don't want. When a relationship comes to an end, you take note of what didn't work and how you grew as a person in the process. With newfound insights, you are more discerning about the man or woman you date the next time. You are learning what to avoid and what to attract. Eventually, you find someone who is a lot closer to being Mr. or Miss Right for you. You might even find the one. Along the way, you become a better friend, lover, and partner. You grow in character traits like self-assurance and patience, too. So as a student of life, in all situations, you can ask, what am I learning? How am I becoming a better person? And these inquiries help you to make course corrections. You then face the world with newfound strength, perspective, and insight. Isn't it remarkable how life serves up experiences perfectly suited for your growth? Have you noticed? And because you are living in a benevolent universe, you won't get more than you can handle. How about embracing learning, like developing and enjoying a new sport? Are you up for the challenge? As you become a committed player in the game of personal development, you are an inspiration to others in your humility and your triumphs. Don't you find pleasure in watching your friends and family grow and become better people? Isn't it inspiring to see athletes improve their skills? Aren't you more inclined to read a blog or watch a video that discloses the lessons learned through challenges, downturns, and turmoil, not just the high points? We all recognize and admire the strength it takes to become a kinder, wiser, and more aware person. We appreciate it when others admit to a wrong and learn from the misstep. We appreciate those who are real and relatable, not the smarty pants who touts their knowledge or success. We respect those who share growth from personal experience. You've probably noticed that as you go through life, you get similar lessons over and over again until you learn them. Girl, do I know that one? The characters will look different, but the lessons are the same. Over time, as you see the patterns, and if you evolve through your lessons, you do better. You won't make the same mistakes. At least this is the goal with Wisdom 5. Learn as you live. Learn in order to have a better life. Learn for the next time. There will always be one. There is a Sufi anecdote about a proud mother who comes to a mullah, a wise and learned man, and boasts, "My son has learned all his lessons at the academy." "Console yourself," says the mullah. "God will no doubt send him more." Affirmations of Wisdom 5. Learn as you live. I learn from every experience. I love to learn. I am evolving in consciousness. Life is my school. The more I play, the more I learn. I am a student of life. When success is a verb. There are always more lessons to learn, more metaphoric and sometimes actual mountains to climb. But instead of feeling overwhelmed by the goal, straining to keep your eyes on the destination, what about shifting the focus? Instead of focusing on success, the destination, the place to go, the something to have, why not focus on the process of getting there? I like to call that successing. It's a celebratory, in-the-moment way of moving forward toward a goal. When you see success as a verb, it relieves the stress of pushing for the end result. You focus more on the process and your core values than the grip of the win, lose, success paradigm. This opens you to enjoy the process. To say I'm successing means I'm on a journey and I'm paying attention to where I am and who I'm becoming as I am on my way somewhere to reach the goal. Successing is living in alignment with your values. You are successing if you are supporting yourself as you walk the path, present to how you feel and what you are learning. When you focus on the journey, the who you are becoming, you realize that the end result is not really the goal. The goal is the learning and the evolution. Truth be told, we measure success really, deeply, by the joys of the doing, by the lessons we learn, the people we meet, and who we become. That is the satisfaction we are after, not the medal, trophy, or reward. As we unlearn some of the socioeconomic success paradigms and family of origin ways of measuring achievement, we understand successing as a way of being. Lori Bagley, author of Summit, exemplified successing as she trained to climb Mount Everest. Her primary focus was not on the mountain peak. It was on attempting the climb. Yes, doing all the needed training, but not obsessed with reaching the top of Everest. Lori didn't want the pressure or seduction that comes from an all-consuming goal. She wanted to do the climb, inspire others, raise money for a humanitarian cause, and, most importantly, return home healthy and to her daughter and community. So she committed that during her ascent, she would turn back if she perceived a red flag. She would stay hyper alert to anything that would endanger her life. Hers was a different way of looking at goal setting and success. She was in it for the climb, for the cause, not to reach the summit. And as fate had it, she did make it to the top and became the 6th U.S. woman to summit Mount Everest from the North Kyle route. Lori says, "You don't have to reach for success. It's already here. It's how you live." This is when success is a verb. And when success is a verb, you always win, while you take care of yourself along the way. Letting life teach you. Life's experiences are our coursework in the school of life. However, not every subject is easy. Sometimes getting kicked in the butt is what it takes to move us forward on our journey. An easy lesson might be something like driving too fast on a country road and getting pulled over by the town cop. He sees that you are a local and lets you off with a lecture and a warning. Now, if you learned your lesson, you're going to drive more slowly and carefully in order not to be a hazard to yourself and others. If you didn't learn your lesson, you might continue to speed and eventually get a ticket or a fine, or worse yet, you could have an accident. So like a warning from a cop, the universe will warn you too. Sometimes it feels a bit like a cosmic joke. If you pay enough attention, you'll start getting your warnings more quickly and avoid the fines, the harder lessons, and tougher consequences. This is what happened to a friend of mine. An avid hiker, Renee headed out on the mountain to explore a new trail. She stashed in her backpack a bottle of water, a snack bar, an extra layer of clothes, and her phone. That was routine for her. While Renee had a general idea of the loop she was hoping to explore, she did not know the path, and as she hiked, the trail markers became less visible. Soon, she got lost. Eventually, she ended up on a forest road, far from the ridgetop landmark she had hoped to find, and even further from where she parked her car. Disoriented, she spent more than 4 hours following forest roads, wandering astray amongst tall trees and bush, until she found a power line to hike beneath. She kept calm for the most part, but as she ran out of water and her legs let out with fatigue, she admits to having a momentary panic attack. At last, Renee approached a broader forest road and saw a truck parked in the distance. The truck owner told her that she was 5 miles from town. Now, this is when I need to digress and explain that very morning of this lost in the woods experience, Renee told me about some of her new business colleagues. She was judgmental and prejudiced as she labeled them hunters with big guns and big trucks. Well, guess who saved her in the woods that day? A hunter with a Ford F-350 fully stocked with a Weatherby Vanguard rifle that proudly hung in the cab. His name was RJ, and he gave Renee a ride to town in his safe rig. The air-conditioned ride felt like heaven to exhausted and overheated Renee. She had no problem listening to him talk about hunting trips as they drove down the rocky gravel road to town. In fact, she asked a lot of questions. So what was the lesson for Renee? Well, taking a map and compass on her next hiking trip might be one, but the bigger lesson that life gave Renee was the opportunity to face her prejudice and see a stereotype in a different light. The very persona she had judged in the morning was her hero in the late afternoon. Lesson learned. Similar to Wisdoms 1 and 3, which ignite trust and guidance, and affirm the symbolic nature of life, Wisdom 5 teaches you to use the symbolism in order to learn. I'm sure you can relate to Renee's lesson. You or someone close to you may have judged a certain type of person and later came to know, like, and trust that very type of person. If we really pay attention, eventually we will learn not to judge at all. We will see that everyone is doing his or her best. It's not our business to evaluate another's process. It is rather our honor and our lesson to accept people for who they are. Learning from triggers. When you understand the power of the caring universe to serve you up the lessons you need, the instructor you've been waiting for is standing right in front of you. It is the person or the event you are most reactive to. That interaction shows you every time that the way out is in. As Sean Massey, developer of the Symmetry of Happiness theory, puts it, whatever is upsetting you is actually holding your path to peace 100% of the time. The shift from pain to peace does not have to be random guesswork, and it does not require a lifetime of hard work. Your commitment to learning can create a massive shift in the way you see and meet life's challenges. Inevitably, when you are in difficult situations and you ask, "What is the lesson here?" you'll find a profound answer. And in the honest exploration, you grow into a better version of you, and life changes in positive directions. An African proverb reminds us, "Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors." Our triggers hold the answers. If something upsets you, there is unfinished business inside of you wanting your attention. As you commit to growth, your emotions will reveal where you are wavering and where you have a charge, and therefore where you need to grow. Triggers point to the specific areas where you want healing. So what do I mean by a trigger? A trigger is any input that stirs you up inside and sets off a reaction. A fear trigger creates mild butterflies in the stomach or agonizing gut-wrenching pain. Depending on you and the situation at hand, a trigger might crank up your anxiety or insecurity, ignite your anger, or send you in an emotional tailspin. Triggers might also intensify sadness or feed an illusion of loneliness. It's as if a lid on a pressure tap was opened and the feelings bottled up inside of you fuzz up and spill over. Or think of a trigger as unlocking a gun loaded with bullets. The bullets are your painful feelings, and if the trigger is pressed, boom, out comes your pain. What does a trigger look like? A trigger might be a passing comment, a complaint aimed at you, a perceived criticism about something you did wrong, or something you did not do that you should have. Or it might be a public insult or rejection. Let's say your friend makes a comment about how your outfit is inappropriate for an occasion. Well, if you are insecure about how you look, that small comment can set you off into a rage and result in a rude reaction, or it might be internalized within and lead you to stew in self-doubt and self-condemnation. Either way, the "I'm not attractive" trigger button has been pushed. Anytime we have an insecurity, we are vulnerable to real or imagined attack. If we don't disclose our sensitive spots to the people we trust in our lives, they might poke at them without meaning to. When we are ultra-sensitive to a particular childhood wound, we get triggered even when comments are light-hearted and minute. We sometimes misinterpret reality. A trigger can also be less direct. The storyline of a book or movie might trigger you. Let's say you see a would-be heroine make a terrible mistake in love, which reminds you of how you blew it in your last relationship, thus triggering regret or self-loathing. Or let's say you hear a song on the radio and you flash back to your high school prom when the love of your life left you and broke your heart. Inadvertent triggers cause hurt just as much as direct ones when they hit your sore spots, your unresolved issues. Triggers can show you where you need to grow and where there are lessons to be learned. What triggers you? What bothers you about yourself or others? What gets you unexpectedly angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed? These observations become your very own training grounds for personal evolution and emotional awareness. Once you notice the things that set you off the most, once you catch the themes, you stop blaming the people or circumstances around you and take responsibility for your growth. At your best, you see that every trigger is gifting you with the prescription for freedom. This does not mean you put up with abuse or excessive criticism from others. Not at all. Speak up or get out if you are being treated aggressively or being exploited in any way. That is the inner honoring teachings of wisdom too. You deserve love. However, when you are in supportive relationships, you have a choice to use triggers to grow together. You can share your trigger spots with the people you love so that they can help you heal them. Kirk and I refer to our emotional chronic pain points as broken toes. For example, I know that any comment I make that suggests that Kirk is not contributing enough is like stepping on a broken toe. it hurts like nobody's business. And he knows that the slightest indication that my belly is bloated can rile me up into a fit. So we are careful in order to heal our triggers. We affirm our care for each other, giving room for each other to challenge our fears. I appreciate how Kirk contributes, and he admires my belly. Over time, the toes heal. Kirk feels like he is giving and worthy, and I feel like I am loved for who I am, not how I look. As you find the lessons within your triggers, you heal your pain. You realize that your reactivity comes from an old wound, likely a pattern that extends back into your childhood. Remember, on the journey to a soul-inspired life, we are in the business of aborting old, outdated, and fearful programs and the interference, while nurturing new stories of love. So now, as the empowered, self-aware, soulful you, when you are triggered, you have a choice. Do you react, or do you pause and take a moment to find a peaceful response? Do you take note and choose to go deeper, beyond the trigger, to find the root of the pain, the fearful parts of you that try to defend their position? Do you let yourself feel the pain, and do you transform it? When you let go, be it through shadow work, emotional or otherwise, you decharge yourself. Over time, when your old triggers appear, you won't feel activated. The painful emotional charge that propelled the hurtful retaliations will have been diffused. Eckhart Tolle reminds us, life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at the moment. Consequence is a great teacher. Lessons arrive in our life as responses to our actions. Consequence is a great teacher. We know what is right and wrong. It's wrong to lie, steal, manipulate for gain, intentionally hurt another, exert power over another, gossip, and so on. When we trespass from our personal ethics, our integrity, there will be consequences. To varying degrees, we all have overstepped what we know to be right at some point in our lives. When we do this, we learn. We learn through the consequence, such as a lost friendship, a financial fine, a court order, public shame, maybe a lost job, and so forth. When this happens to you, you may feel remorse, but I do not recommend holding on to any regret. Let me explain. Remorse allows you to make amends, feel the pain, and commit to doing differently the next time. With remorse, you take responsibility for the consequence and learn from it in order not to repeat it. However, regret builds up more pain as it focuses on the terrible wrongdoing, the unchangeable past. Regret is often self-condemning. Regret holds on to self-pity, sadness, shame, and disappointment. Regret gets you stuck in the past. But remorse gets you moving, considering how to compensate and correct. Remorse opens the way for forgiveness. Feeling remorse can be healthy as long as you don't cling to the guilt that can accompany it. Remorse reminds us to change and to act with more integrity the next time. Expect evolution. You will notice that life ebbs and flows. Do not be discouraged if you find yourself feeling down after a period of being up. This is natural. We feel wonderful in the flow, happy and at ease, and then maybe we crash and burn. We get hurt, we get angry, we let the triggers of life exaggerate our fears. This is part of the life journey. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. When we are ruthlessly honest with ourselves, we see that our states of consciousness fluctuate. At one point, you might feel like you've aced a new concept, passed a cosmic test, or embodied a wisdom principle in a real-life situation. Good for you. But maybe the very next day you wish you could stay under the covers because life got hard, and inner honoring or gratitude were more than you could muster. Here is the good news. Everything changes. Everything evolves. This is a universal truth. As you revisit your lessons regularly, you will stabilize your knowing, not your intellectual comprehension, but your deep somatic knowing. You will understand something different each time. The most important advice is to be kind to yourself along the way. Be present and accept the state of mind you find yourself in, no matter what that here looks like. If you don't give up on yourself, you will be able to gain the strength and insight to move forward and be present for yourself and others. For more support, see the Start Where You Are affirmations in the accompanying PDF. Recenter when you stumble. Yes, just when you think you've found your way, a life challenge may show up and give you the opportunity to practice what you've learned. Are you solid in your newfound attributes? When the rubber meets the road, are you in congruence with your yearning and your actions? A life challenge serves as a check-in and will allow you to find your strength and/or course correct. Everyone stumbles and falls, especially when learning to practice something new. My client Lynette came to know this experience in her business. Lynette called me in a panic. A work situation had not turned out as she hoped it would. Lynette had allowed a boss to manipulate her. My employer took advantage of my dreams. He promised a lot of money, one of my most tempting distractions, and I took the bait. I was caught. I sold my soul for cash, and I'm miserable, confused, and anxious. Lynette shared more of the particulars of her story, just enough to get me, her coach, oriented and to see the situation from a bird's eye view. I reminded her how the universe mirrors our state of mind. Fear is a contracting force. If you contract, the world contracts around you. As you become small-minded, the world changes to accommodate you. Your worry will be replicated in the events of the outer world, unless you recenter. As I shared my observations, Lynette widened her perspective enough to get out of her own way, out of her part in the drama, and into an observer mindset. This kind of shift of perspective is not easy, which is why honest friends, counselors, and coaches are indispensable when times are hard. I continued, when your boss transgresses in a demanding way and tells you what you should believe, watch without reaction. Make assessments. If the intrusion is more than what you can handle, you can leave. You are not serving a life sentence. In the meantime, while you work with this company, be clear-minded and continually recenter. Taking in this message, Lynette began to feel a bit more relaxed. In this process, I met Lynette where she was. We started with naming the situation and the fear. I did not push her towards any premature decisions. I walked with her through gradual realizations. We started with her pain, and over time, Lynette arrived in a new place, a place of empowerment. I told her what my teacher David had taught me. Recenter continually. It is not how many times you leave that matters. It is how many times you return. That is the mastery, the constant return. Over the next months, Lynette was recentering and making gradual adjustments. And in time, she left the job and found other employment that built her confidence. She recommitted to following her dreams, pledging to be true to her values and intuition, and not following the lure of money. Like Lynette, we all fall into traps. There are many lures that can hook us and take us off track and out of an integrity with our soul. This is where guidance can come to the rescue. As suggested in Wisdom 3, investigate what blind spots you may have, your fears and desires, so you don't detour from your soul path. Let life guide you to your potential. That is its job. You can maintain your center in the midst of all of life's challenges. Just know situations will challenge you. It's supposed to be that way. But always know that whatever happens is for the good and look for the lessons. Be in the eye of the hurricane. No matter the problems in your life, a solution sits peacefully within you. Your life will unfold correctly if you don't contract into fear. You need every experience on your life journey. The trick is to be okay with where you are and not to be afraid of moving to a better place. There's always a better place waiting for you. You just need to course correct your inner landscape and find the sweet spot of peace within. Soon the universe will recalibrate according to that vibration and show you the way to a better place. When you are at peace, you attract better solutions. You see better solutions. You resonate with a peace-giving field of possibility. Proactive learning. You can let life teach you what you need to know. You can also be proactive in your learning. Some inspired ways to seek out learning include choosing yearly themes, creating successing pledges, seeking out good company, taking bold steps towards your growth. Choose a yearly theme for learning and see how the universe responds. Every New Year's Eve for about a decade now, I have chosen a theme for the year, the area I most want to study and understand in the months ahead. This is different from a New Year's resolution because learning themes focus on new understandings more than accomplishments and forced outer change. The theme helps me choose learning tools such as books and retreats and select experiences that will help me learn the theme I have chosen to study in a deeply embodied way. I always marvel at the way the universe contributes to my evolving. All year, I hold the intention to better understand and grow in a new area. Here are a few examples. Let thy will and my will be one. The year that I started to see the vision of a personal development company. Intuition. The year I followed a hunch and went to Hawaii, which is where I found deep healing and renewal. Courage. The year that I had the courage to do nothing. A new pattern for the busy me. To be a conduit of the divine. The year I started writing and was asked to do more public speaking. Love and relationships. The year Kirk and I fell in love. Create pledges to support the idea of successing. As discussed earlier in this wisdom, successing is about who you become as you are accomplishing your goal. Making pledges to yourself helps you focus on the process rather than concentrating on the all-consuming push to a finish line or the top of the mountain. Personal pledges offer clarity to remind you of the importance of wholehearted living instead of pressing a pause button until some goal is reached. Pledges are meant to be reviewed regularly and not stashed away. They trump the goals. You never go for the goal at the cost of your personal pledge. Here are some examples of personal pledges that support successing. In the process of losing weight, you could say, I let go of 10 pounds through healthy exercise, balanced eating, and nourishing rest. When your company is encouraging greater sales and you are putting together an action plan, you could pledge, I maintain a balanced life and act in integrity as I achieve my sales goals. When you are seeking greater closeness in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, family, marriage, you could say, I am happy to be building a close relationship with, fill in the blank, and being true to myself in the process. Not long ago, I worked through a personal pledge of my own. I enjoy biking, and I had set the goal to complete a 100-mile bike ride. I rode longer and longer distances to get closer to my goal, and I would come back with a backache. So I made a pledge that achieving a century ride was not as important as my spinal health. I sought out a Pilates instructor and started exercising to strengthen my core and my spine. This was an absolute shift in intention. Because of that personal pledge, I learned that what was more important to me than a 100-mile biking goal was my health and my spine. There may be a day when I bike a century, but only if I know that I will get off my bike and my back will feel wonderful. Seek out the good company of others. One of the most reliable learning tactics is seeking out mentors and teachers. We are blessed to be able to learn through others. Early in my life, I got the sense that I ought to listen to the people whom I admired and follow their lead. After all, I wanted to emulate their strengths, be it their beauty, athletic abilities, intelligence, or spiritual awareness. So whenever I set a new intention or goal, I find someone who is already where I want to be, and I learn from them. When I wanted to summit Mount Shasta, I asked Lori, who had summited Mount Everest, to help me. For 3 months, we met every week to train, and we climbed surrounding peaks and steep ridges. Spending time in her can-do presence, I caught a can-do attitude. Yes, I stretched my limits and followed her specific guidance on preparation. Her confidence was infectious and fed mine. I reached Mount Shasta's 14,180-foot peak on June 1st, 2001. It remains a highlight of my life. I would have never achieved this massive feat without Lori's help and companionship. I know that I did the wisest thing I could have done. I knew where I wanted to go, and I found someone who had been there before. To be in good company of those who inspire you gets you where you want to go. Celebrate their inspiration. While jealousy may kick in, do your best to dismiss any tendency to compare yourself to them. Stop those competitive thoughts as quickly as they come. Instead, feel the inspiration of being with people who are accomplished in their fields and bask in that delight. Learn to be enthused for them. Admire their bright genius and know you can reach your potential too, if that's what you wish and if you apply yourself. Your merriment will build a resonance that will allow you to become what you desire and attract more of the same. My definition of good company also includes the company of books, movies, videos, podcasts, activities, and music. Good company includes all the inputs in life. I have learned to find mentors, coaches, trainers, and guides. I encourage you to do the same. In Sanskrit, a word for good company is satsang. It is not only the fastest track to climbing mountains, but according to Hindu tradition, it is also the key to achieving enlightenment. When one spiritual guru was asked by a devotee, "How can I reach enlightenment?" the teacher answered, "Satsang, good company." In the accompanying PDF, you can take a good company assessment. You'll be led to develop your inventory of influences, and you'll rate how each influence gives you energy or takes it away. With new awareness, you are invited to make alterations and create change. In Proverb 13:20, Solomon wrote, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Who you spend your time with, what you watch, read, and listen to, the places you frequent, and the activities you do all predict your future. If you want to have more money, spend time with people with money. If partnership is what you are after, spend more time with couples. If you want to become a soul-inspired person, attend personal development workshops. We learn by examples and from positive influences. My teacher David tells the story of a great sage who bestowed blessings on those who came to him for healing. In his good company and through his prayers, people received miraculous transformations of body, mind, and spirit. One day, a student of this sage wanted to know how he prepared for the healings. So the student hid in the healer's closet. From this hidden spot, he heard the sage reciting a great spiritual teaching. An emotionally afflicted seeker came in for a blessing and left with all her sorrow erased. Then the sage said, "You can come out of the closet now." A sensitive man, he knew his student was hiding there. The sage continued, "The reason I recite the great teachings is because the power within the phrases transmits the energy I need in order for me to bless others. As I learn, I tap into a wisdom greater than myself. Within the best of teachings and scriptures, there is a profound transformational power infused in the words. It is this healing power that I transmit to others." Take bold steps toward your growth. Wisdom 4, Take Inspired Action, gives us permission to take risks so we can live life to the fullest. When we do this, we open ourselves to Wisdom 5, Learn as you live, as the following example illustrates. In 2008, I was hired by an economic development nonprofit to teach a course on entrepreneurship, specifically business planning. I'd never taught a college course before, and while I had started and built 3 successful small businesses, I'd never formally studied business. As much as I felt the calling to teach the course, I also doubted my academic credentials. I told the class that we were going to have some fun exploring the school book way to build a business, and we'd do it together. I assured them that this spirit of adventure is exactly what it takes to become an entrepreneur. Starting and succeeding in business requires accomplishing a series of tasks that involve figuring things out as you go. It also requires a lot of positive self-belief. I disclosed my insecurities to the students, and as a result, I think I also inadvertently expressed my confidence and genuine desire to help. I shared that I had not personally completed a long-form, loan-ready business plan for any of my businesses. The class valued my honesty. We investigated our way through business planning, market research, cash flow projections, bookkeeping, and marketing strategies. Everyone grew in the collective innocence and spirit of newness and the deep dive into academic best practices. Who would have guessed the outcome? More than 10 years later, I thrive in the subject of business planning. But in every course that I have taught since that first one, I share the truth that success comes from figuring things out as you go along. From this experience, I no longer seek out the perfect-looking trainers. I no longer try to be one either. I prefer the teachers who are not afraid of revealing their Achilles heel. I love to learn from companion guides who understand the process of forever mastering, forever becoming. Learn to love to learn. Expansion and evolution are the very nature of the universe. Our planet undergoes continual change, adaptation, and evolution. Humans don't only evolve physically or as a species, we also evolve in consciousness. We are evolving collectively. We are on a progressive journey in life. Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum and co-founder of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, has noted, "Change can be frightening, and the temptation is often to resist. But change almost always provides opportunities to learn new things, to rethink tired processes, and to improve in the way we work. Change also improves the way we live and love." Learning does not stop. You learn and evolve throughout your life, whether you like it or not. However, you can speed up the pace and let it be easier when you allow it, look forward to it, and learn to love to learn. Learning becomes fun when you let go of resistance and trust life. You may stumble and fall, explore and examine, but to do nothing is to stagnate. When we choose to learn and enjoy it, we ask a lot of questions. It's a great pleasure to get the mind churning, the images appearing, and the juices flowing. When we ponder, we often find the answers within. When we open, we see the way. But it is never fully the way until we walk it, grok it, and make it our own. We must embody it. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to embody what you learn. Take it in fully and let that embrace fill your every cell. With the embodiment of new lessons, your life will transform and your soul will evolve.
Welcome to Evolving. Learn as you live. You become self-aware in order to learn and grow. There is no trip as epic as the journey of expanding consciousness.
Gems for the journey. The fifth wisdom is learn as you live. Life is for learning. As you commit to a soul-inspired life, you experiment and you evolve. When you are a student of life, no matter what happens, this means you don't have to be perfect. This means you don't have to be right. This means things can go well or not so well, but either way, you'll learn something. Life's circumstances are your lessons in the school of life. Not every subject is easy. Your triggers are your teachers. When you are open-minded, you will embrace the discovery. Walking the wisdoms. The next time something goes other than the way you hoped, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The next time you are triggered, ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself? Find an area in life where you'd like to grow and learn. Learn in the way that brings you joy. Research the topic online. Take a class. Attend an event on a subject. Practice the new skill. Find a mentor or read a book by someone who knows the topic or has had the experience you're wondering about. Make a commitment to yourself to change your attitude about success. Prioritize the learning process, not the endpoint, and say, I am successing. Develop a successing statement and personal pledge that focus on who you are becoming in the process. Interviews for journaling or conversations. These are sentence stems that you are encouraged to complete and elaborate on. Take your time and see where your writing goes or how a conversation unfolds. What learning means to me is evolving is. I am proud of myself for learning. The area I most want to grow in is. A mistake I've made is, and what I've learned from that mistake is. One of my triggers is, and what it's showing me is. Someone I will reach out to and learn from is.
Pause and remember, life is for you. You deserve love. Life is guiding you. Take inspired action. Learn as you live.
If truth comes humbly. If truth comes humbly, my teachers are the flowers and the organic matter in the soil. My champions are loving mothers, engaged fathers, and daycare providers. My mentors are the patient monks and nuns, the happily married, and the children that laugh at themselves. My wisdom comes from crawling creatures, water-worn sea shells, and the passing clouds. My lessons are the embarrassing moments, the tears, and the apologies. My growth is through the gifts of the heart, home-cooked meals, and warm hugs. If truth comes humbly, then make my teachers the soft at heart.